First at noon, Eric Thompson, the East Oahu man who was convicted of killing his wife's lover, has been sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole. Before Thompson learned his fate, family and friends of Waipahu acupuncturist John Tokuhara gave emotional statements asking for justice. Tokuhara's mother, Lily, could not hold back her tears. On January 13, 2022, she found her son unresponsive on the floor of his office. Now, Tokuhara's sister says their lives have been shattered since then.
Over the last 3 years, I have asked myself the same question over and over. How did Eric Thompson think that committing such a monstrous and senseless crime would solve his problems? His heartless and soulless disregard for human life has managed to destroy many, many lives. He stole John from us, and that is a pain and loss we will feel forever.
Me and Joyce would like to express our gratitude to all of our family and friends for their enduring support. In addition, it's really overwhelming to see how everyone stepped up to fill the gap in my absence, and we're truly grateful.
Thompson, who was found guilty of murder back in February, kept his remarks brief, saying he was instructed not to say more because of pending litigation. The Honolulu prosecutor's office says because a firearm was used by Thompson, he will be required to serve a mandatory minimum of 15 years behind bars. The Hawaii Paroling Authority will set his actual minimum sentence, which could be much longer. We're going to have more on this story online and on later editions of Hawaii News Now. On the final day of its term, the U.S. Supreme Court issued a ruling on a closely watched case involving President Trump's move to restrict birthright citizenship. Natalie Brand has the story from the White House.
In a 6-3 decision, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled Friday to limit the power of judges to issue nationwide injunctions to block a president's executive order. The opinion, written by Justice Amy Coney Barrett, split along the court's ideological lines and says in part, these injunctions, known as universal injunctions, likely exceed the equitable authority that Congress has given to federal courts.
She's also saying very clearly that when people walk into federal court now and they ask for relief of an executive order, they cannot get these universal injunctions anymore. Instead, courts are limited in the scope, the remedy that they can provide.
The justices did not rule on birthright citizenship protected by the Constitution's 14th Amendment. But President Trump, hailing the decision as a monumental victory, said the administration plans to move forward with his executive order.
This lets us go there and finally win that case because hundreds of thousands of people are pouring into our country under birthright citizenship, and it wasn't meant for that reason. It was meant for the babies of slaves.
Federal judges in Washington, Maryland, and Massachusetts blocked that policy nationwide, saying it violates the Constitution. Their injunctions escalated all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court, calling into question the power of a single lower court judge to block a presidential policy.
Writing for the minority, Justice Sonia Sotomayor in her dissent said no right is safe in the new legal regime the court creates.
In the dissents, what you saw was an argument that, okay, yes, there is a proper process, but there are certain cases where it would be appropriate for a single court to issue a nationwide injunction.
The fight over nationwide injunctions goes back years, with presidents from both parties criticizing them. But the legality of President Trump's birthright citizenship order remains unresolved, with legal experts expecting another wave of lawsuits. Natalie Brand, CBS News, Washington.
Former Minnesota House Speaker Melissa Hortman, her husband, and their dog are lying in state at the Minnesota Capitol Rotunda as the man who allegedly killed them appeared in federal court today. Vance Belter faces at least 6 charges in connection with the shooting deaths of the family. Today, a judge postponed his preliminary hearing until next week after the suspect told the court he has not slept in nearly 2 weeks. A private funeral for the Hortmans will be held tomorrow. Back here at home, a joint sting operation on Hawaii Island discovered a cache of firearms, pipe bombs, and even a meth lab. Homeland Security agents, along with Hawaii County Police, booked 54-year-old Shannon Hostetler on multiple charges. They raided 2 homes Wednesday in Pahoa on Ocean View Parkway. They also found more than 6,000 rounds of ammunition and $14,000 in cash. Just weeks after submitting his resignation, Hawaii Island's police chief is asking for a second chance. Ben Moskowitz issued a 3-paragraph statement yesterday saying he is truly sorry and calling his decision from earlier this month, quote, premature. He intended to resign after Honolulu Mayor Rick Blangiardi recommended him to replace outgoing HPD Chief Joe Logan. Moskowitz applied for the job, but the Honolulu Police Commission instead selected HPD Deputy Chief Roddy Vanek. And in his statement, Moskowitz said, quote, I pledge to remain the chief of police here for years to come. I would love to stay here as your chief and would publicly commit to not applying to be the chief anywhere else, end quote. The Hawaii County Police Commission plans to hold a special meeting to question Moskowitz about his intentions and commitment next month. Meanwhile, vacancies at the Honolulu Police Department continue to rise. Chief investigative reporter Lynn Kawano shows us what the police union wants to see happen when the next chief takes over.
The Honolulu Police Department can't hire officers fast enough. As of June 1st, there were 461 vacancies. That's more than 21% of the budgeted positions. There are 110 recruits spread out over multiple classes, but even if they all make it through the academy and training, it will barely make a dent. That's why SHOPO, the police union, wants to see fresh ideas to stop the exodus.
It's going to be a combination of multiple initiatives and strategic plans to try to fix this. But they got to get really bold and creative in this. And the status quo is just not working.
There are nearly 230 officers who are already eligible to retire. They could leave at any time. So far this year, 40 officers have left either through retirement, resignation, termination, or discharge. In 2024, 74 left HPD. The union was not happy to learn that HPD returned about $50 million to the city, which could have been used for retention programs.
Whether it's pay differential or other types of incentive programs, I know the department has come to us before with some other ideas regarding some sort of child care program. An idea that may help some officers, especially those with young children, but that's only a small portion of the department. So they need to look at ideas like that and figure out what kinds of incentives or initiatives can they implement to help our officers in their day-to-day lives.
SHOPA hopes a new chief will make this a priority to beef up staffing and prevent burnout. I'm Lynn Kawano, Hawaii News Now.
A man shot by police in Makaha this week remains on life support at the Queens Medical Center. And we're learning more about Iosua Stevens. Loved ones of the 38-year-old tell us he co-founded a nonprofit that helps youth. But Stevens struggled with addiction and broke the terms of his probation before he was caught in a stolen car on Tuesday. Now, his family says they tried to get him some help, but his probation officer did not respond to their efforts.
Bad on us for allowing him to fall through the cracks when the family did everything they could to give him the help that he needed. And the response that they got was, oh, well, we did everything we could do. Well, there's nothing left to do, and excuse after excuse.
He jumped on to anything that built a sense of purpose, anything that built a sense of belonging, like, no, you belong. You came out of jail, you belong here. You belong in this community on the west side and with the youth.
HPD Chief Joe Logan says it appears the officers were justified in using lethal force because he rammed a stolen truck repeatedly into a police vehicle.
How's it on this Aloha Friday? The weather's looking fairly calm out there. We're not seeing much in the way of rainfall. In fact, we're in for a drier trend as we head into the weekend. There will be these windward and Mauka showers every early morning and also in the overnight hours, but there's not going to be a lot of rain. And those winds, they'll be running brisk today, but they'll be slowing down starting tonight. And over the weekend, they'll run pretty slow as well. So enjoy the trade-ins today. They'll be whipping up to about 15 to 20 in the afternoon, easing tonight.
Bye. Hawaii Tourism Authority Board members held what could be their last meeting yesterday before the governor attempts to replace them. Governor Green formally asked all the members to resign this week as he begins an overhaul of the agency that he signed into law last month. But the governor cannot force them to resign. It's voluntary, and it's unclear if they are all willing.
Oh my God. This entire board, I don't know why anything's confusing to this board. It's laid out in black and white. You know, the governor put it out there that he's asking everyone to resign.
Quorum for this board is 7 members. It's not a 50% type of situation. So if the board membership became 6 because of resignations, the board would not be able to have quorum to take any action.
Now, if the members resign, the governor and legislative leaders can appoint interim board members who will appoint a new CEO. That CEO will require Senate confirmation. A changing dynamic in the management of Mauna Kea and potentially the future of the 30-meter telescope. As our Ben Gutierrez reports, the Office of Hawaiian Affairs is hoping to wield more influence by dropping 2 lawsuits.
The Office of Hawaiian Affairs filed the first of the lawsuits 8 years ago. The OHA trustees now say that times and things have changed and that a more collaborative effort is needed as uncertainty continues to hang over the mountain. That 2017 lawsuit and another one filed last year aimed to give OHA more control in the management of Mauna Kea. But the new Mauna Kea Stewardship and Oversight Authority includes 8 Native Hawaiians, including 30-meter telescope opponents Lanakila Mangawil and Noinoi Wong Wilson.
We have smart Hawaiians on that panel up there, and we believe in them. And like I said, collaboration versus confrontation. We want to move forward that way.
There are maybe opportunities for OHA to, in an unofficial capacity, be a part of those conversations and deliberations now that we're not suing the state.
By OHA dropping the lawsuit, it takes one more distraction off the table.
Authority Executive Director John DeFries says that's necessary because of the TMT. The Trump administration withdrew funding for the Mauna Kea site and is instead favoring the giant Magellan telescope in Chile. But while that may delay the TMT project, it's not dead.
I expect that advocates for TMT will double down and triple down on their efforts to get that funding restored. We'll know in a few months whether or not they're successful.
I think just the fact that the National Science Foundation has decided to pivot to Chile and not dedicate critical federal resources to the 30-meter telescope is an indication from this current federal administration, at least, that the support just isn't there.
Another factor in OHA pulling its lawsuits? Money.
We're faced with potentially over $1 million worth of litigation and attorney's fees.
OHA leaders say ultimately they want to be involved in the future of Mauna Kea and not only with the telescopes.
And I think this is very, very important by the board deciding to drop these lawsuits, without prejudice. Opens the door for more collaboration on other issues that we can get done for our people.
Ben Gutierrez, Hawaii News Now.
Ahead on This Is Now, the defense delivers its closing arguments in the criminal trial of Sean Diddy Combs when the jury will begin deliberations. Plus, the Blood Bank of Hawaii is offering a sweet incentive if you donate. Casey Lund has the details in 2 minutes. Closing arguments continue today in the trial of Sean Diddy Combs. Defense lawyers took their turn with the jury this morning, calling it a fake trial. The music mogul is facing multiple charges that could lead to a life sentence if he is convicted. Jay Gray has the latest from New York.
Good evening. We have learned now a little more about how this trial is going to proceed. The defense today delivering their closing arguments to the jury, and the judge has said no instructions for that jury. When this is done for the day, they will be done. They'll come back Monday morning, get their instructions, and then begin deliberations. Let's talk a little bit about what the defense focused on here today. Basically firing back at accusations from prosecutors who spent close to 5 hours during their closing arguments yesterday. They call it, defense attorneys, a fake trial, and say that Sean Combs did not do anything he's accused of and that he will continue to fight to the death, they say, things that he has not done. His lawyers stressing the evidence, the testimony over more than 6 weeks in this trial do not prove the 55-year-old music mogul committed a crime, telling jurors, while you may not agree with his lifestyle, his morals, or his choices, that's not a basis for a conviction here. As we talked about, this is not going to go to the jury until Monday, and a lot of experts say don't expect this thing to be over with very quickly.
You never know what a jury's going to do, but here's the thing. They sat for 7 weeks. They had hundreds and hundreds of exhibits. I'm guessing this is going to take at least 3 or 4 days. I can't imagine it wouldn't take. It's not going to be a quick verdict, I don't think.
Yeah, so again, the jury will ultimately get this on Monday and begin deliberations behind closed doors. They are not sequestered. They'll go home each day until there is a verdict. That's the latest from outside the courthouse here in New York. I'm Jay Gray, NBC News.
Today is National Pineapple Day, and to celebrate, Dole Foods is partnering with the Blood Bank of Hawaii to encourage donations. Casey Lund explains.
Aloha from the Blood Bank of Hawaii's Young Street location. Of course, they have their other brick and mortar location in Waikele, and then the Bloodmobile up at Windward Mall. A pineapple for a donation. That is the deal today. But more importantly than that, donating can truly save a life. I want to bring on Dr. Kim Anwin with us from the Blood Bank of Hawaii. Thank you so much for being with us today. Tell us what National Pineapple Day, by the way, big shout out to Dole Food Company. What National Pineapple Day means to you folks here at Blood Bank.
I think what it means is a special thank you for donors that have given a gift. And it's the greatest gift of all, the gift of life, the gift of time, the gift of memories. Greatest gifts that you can give. And it's so easy to give.
It really is. And the team here makes it so simple. You know, this is a fun promotion. We do it every year. It's been a few years in the making now, and it's a great way to kind of shed a light on this and the need. And we've covered the need today. I want to take us back to the beginning of this year, right? The New Year's Eve fireworks explosion, where so many of our neighbors were in a really dire situation, had to be airlifted out of here. The firefighter, unfortunately, lost his life in that tragic fire that was on Young Street, just a couple blocks down. When all those tragedies and accidents that happened during the summer are going on, what's happening here at the Blood Bank?
So we were here, I think, watching you, Casey, when you were covering that fire. It's just 2.5 blocks down. And it's amazing to think that right when someone was bleeding and needing blood, there were people here from our community that were rolling up their sleeves. And it's that blood from the community that needs to be on the shelf when a tragedy like that happens. And these little personal tragedies happen every day.
They do, and then we know that in the summer they happen more, and then the donations go down because we don't have all our blood drives. So partnerships, again, with Dole Food Company are awesome. Dr. Kim Anwin, thank you for all that you do and your team.
All right,
I want to mahalo
thank you.
and remind you, if you want to make an appointment, that's the best way to do it. bbh.org. You can still donate blood today, and it's very much needed and very much appreciated. We'll send things back to you for now.
Thank you so much, Case. Let's take a live look outside now with our tower cam. A little overcast on this Aloha Friday, so what's in store for the weekend? Guy Hagi is going to have your full forecast when we come back in 2 minutes.
First Alert Weather with Guy Huggy.
Happy Aloha Friday. The weather's looking pretty good. In fact, lighter winds are coming in starting tonight. So enjoy today. It's going to be a little bit on the breezy side. Now, there are some high clouds coming up and over the state from the south and southwest. There's some lower level clouds bringing in a little bit of rain. The mix will mean partly sunny skies today. Some areas will get a lot of sunshine. Some areas not so much. But you can see the rainfall is minimal this morning. Not totally dry, but there's not a lot of rain out there. And the winds will be blowing brisk again today, but they're in the process of slowing down starting tonight. And then for the next several days after that, the winds will run pretty slow. So it might be a little bit sticky from tomorrow on. But so for today, though, it's going to be nice with the trade winds running in at about 15 to 20 by the afternoon. And again, they'll start slowing tonight. The best chance for rain is tonight and in the overnight hours for the next several days. However, we are in a drying trend. Surf's on a dropping trend today. Still have some fun-sized waves on the south shore. The good thing is that there's another swell due in sometime Sunday afternoon. Monday looks pretty good, near advisory levels, but that's the next best chance for some pretty good surf, which is, again, Sunday afternoon and Monday, maybe even into Tuesday. The weather's not going to change very much. We've got these trade winds pretty swift today at 15 to 20, so quite comfortable in terms of humidity levels and the air quality. Now, it's going to start to get sticky later tonight through the next several days as those winds drop down to 10 to 15. There's also a chance for some afternoon pop-up showers as well. But for the most part, we're looking at a drier trend. Look at the chance for rain. Pretty slim, although Monday and Tuesday, we might see a little boost in those showers.
Thanks, Guy.
People in South
Still to
Carolina,
come, you've probably
Tennessee,
seen
and
those videos
Georgia.
online of that fireball in the southeast. We have an explanation from NASA in 2 minutes. Here's what the internet is talking about. Summer is a big season for weddings, so Coors Light wants to get in on the action. They came up with the Cold Tux and the Bird Tie. Now, the Cold Tux is made with breathable linen and hidden ice pack rods for those hot summer nights. And the Bird Tie is a fridge-chilled bow tie that claims to give up to 40 minutes of sweat-free relief right near one of your body's key temperature regulation zones. Pretty sharp. And some remarkable video shows a fireball streaking across the sky in the southwest yesterday. No one was hurt, but it had many people puzzled about what they were seeing. As Dave Malkoff tells us, this is actually a fairly common occurrence.
People in South Carolina, Tennessee, and Georgia were startled Thursday when they saw what looked like a fireball streak across the sky before creating a sonic boom.
Callers reporting they saw a small aircraft fall out of the sky.
NASA experts say it was a meteor first spotted nearly 50 miles above the town of Oxford, Georgia, rocketing across the sky at 30,000 miles per hour.
It was fiery orange with a blue tail and just coming straight down.
According to NASA, the meteor then exploded over West Forest, Georgia, with a power of 20 tons of TNT. Some witnesses say it felt like an earthquake. Satellite imagery shows the fireball appearing just after noon. The American Meteor Society say the fireball could be tied to the annual daytime meteor shower called the Beta Torrids, which famously flattened parts of the Siberian forest in 1908. Those same experts say they get reports of one daytime incident per month across the world. And U.S. government sensors have now tracked at least 20 such fireball events worldwide this year. Dave Malkoff, CBS News, Henry County, Georgia.